All right. Hello and welcome. I am quite enjoying recording audio responses. And the reason being is I can share my heart with you and I can get so much more out in a 10, 15, 20-minute recording. I can share with you so much more information than I'm able to give in a written text. And often, in text, our tone and our intentions and all of that is easier to misinterpret. So, um, today I'm responding to several posts in GPU using this method. You know, if you like what you hear, if you would like to get more support on your journey, if you want to be able to ask questions in person and get real time responses, joining me over on Skool is an amazing, affordable way for you to get the support that you need on your parenting journey. And a big part of the work that I do is unpacking the internal turmoil and difficult beliefs and a bunch of societal stuff that contributes to us feeling a lot more stressed out and um constantly kind of in a state of our nervous systems feeling like they're on edge, which puts us a lot closer to having a struggle with our kiddos and our loved ones and all of that stuff. So, um, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and respond to this question. Um, the question reads, how do I help my almost 5-year-old with listening? We're 3 weeks into school, and I keep getting reports that she's not listening to the teachers. She's running away and telling them no. And she is the same way at home. All right. So I want to go ahead and I think I just want to start responding to this question by breaking things down a little bit. I want to start by talking about the concept of listening, particularly in the parent child dynamic. Um, Listening, I mean, it can have multiple different connotations, particularly in this context, the context of not listening, saying no, running away. Um, in this context, the failure to listen kind of translates to a failure to comply. Um, Now, I get it, especially for safety reasons. Like, we need that our kiddos don't run away. And there's certain times in life where compliance, I use the word very loosely, not a word that I'm, particularly fond of, um, all of the different all of the different connotations that it carries, right? But the thing is with compliance is why is somebody running away? Why are they not listening, in this case, AKA complying? And why are they saying no? And like I said, I understand, especially in a school paradigm where like school is a punitive parent with a whole bunch of imposed consequences waiting for both you and your child. And there's definitely a certain amount of going with the program at the very least that is necessary and required, right? And, you know, I really wish that schools would collaborate with parents and children quite a bit more. And I know that you mentioned in your post that your child is also in some special programs, which tells me that this kiddo has a certain set of hurdles or things that they might need to go through that makes life a little bit more difficult, especially when they get outside of their comfort zone and go somewhere like a school, and particularly when the school is not collaborating with them. And, you know, that's the big thing about this whole like listening and complying and all of that. It's like it's coming from a power mindset and not necessarily yours. That mindset is also being kind of hoisted on you by the schools. And the thing is like your kiddo's saying no. And I don't know like the context because the post itself is fairly bare boned. So I don't know like what the exact situations that are occurring or the context in which your kiddo is saying no and what your kiddo is running away from. Now, all of those things matter a lot. Like they're hugely pivotal to not only the advice that I could give, but also to the ways that you can help your kiddo. And so, if you want, you're welcome to come back to the post and talk to me a little bit about more of the details. Of course, I'd love for you to join us over on the Gentle Parents Unite School, where we could troubleshoot some of the things and go back and forth about some of the things that are happening. There's a lot of different ways we could get a little bit deeper into some of the details because those details are where we're going to be able to find a healthy solution that honors your kiddo. And um, it sounds to me like you have one of those kiddos that probably isn't going to do much cooperation and collaboration unless they feel cooperated and collaborated with. And I'll clarify on that a little bit. Your post doesn't, again, give a whole lot of detail, and I don't want to make too many assumptions. Now, I feel like demand avoidance and things like that, they're kind of a personality type. And I have another audio about demand avoidance that I will also share that with you. Um, but when somebody's running away and saying no, it, it indicates to me that that person is feeling like their voice is not being heard. And that person, we all have different ways that we respond when we're feeling pressured, or I guess we'll just go with pressured. Yeah. I have a few other words, but I'm not sure. So we'll go with pressured. So, when the kiddo is feeling pressured and they push back by saying no and running away, it indicates to me that that person needs a different kind of communication in order to feel collaborative and to feel, well, genuinely safe in any given situation. And that's one of the reasons why I struggle with schools being such a broad scale with such large classroom sizes and all of that stuff, because they're not collaborating with the individual needs of kiddos and parents in a lot of cases. I don't want to allow my bias about school to color my advice. And, you know, um, I do navigate the public school system myself with my family, and I'm human and I'm aware that I do have biases, and I'm aware that when I'm talking about schooling, sometimes those biases show. So I just like to establish that up front so that you know you can understand where I'm coming from and, kind of discern it as it applies to your own life and your own experiences with that school. That said, a lot of schools don't collaborate much with parents and children. And because of large classroom sizes and not enough teachers and all of these other things, um, there's not a whole lot of flexibility in those systems for the most part. So, you know, I'm not sure if your kiddo has an IEP in place. Those can be really helpful for gaining a little bit of collaboration from the school with us and with our kiddo. And particularly if we can see specific, like, communicational needs, which I'm guessing, again, based off of the very little that I have here, that your kiddo does have specific communicational needs. And I'm demand avoidant myself, and I spot my demand avoidant people a mile away. So and regardless of whether it's demand avoidance or an actual diagnosis, if somebody reacts or responds a certain way to something, making an adjustment around it can be really prudent. Um, So, again, I am suggesting that regardless of any like specific diagnoses, that your kiddo probably needs like a whole different communication style in order to feel safe and comfortable and be able to collaborate on doing the things that the school and at home, because I know you did say that it happens at home some too, so that your kiddo feels like they're willing to collaborate and like intrinsically motivated and feel seen and heard and safe in those settings so that the kiddo's able to aka listen or do the thing or maybe not run away or any of that in any given situation. um you know when somebody says no, I do like to point out that the word no is a boundary, and I do understand that as parents sometimes, like, things have to happen, and so sometimes we can't always honor a child's no. But the more that we can honor their boundary, um, offer them support around their boundary, say in clear words that we respect their boundaries and interact with their boundaries in the greatest integrity, particularly at home, where you have more control of the situation where, at the school, a lot of that stuff is out of your control. But particularly at home, if you can interact with your kiddos no as often as possible, simply by saying, okay, you don't want me to do that. That's great. I understand. And honoring that boundary lovingly, it can be, well, overall, the impact of that goes a really long way beyond our relationships that we're having with our kiddos. It also teaches really healthy adult relational skills as far as like respecting other people's boundaries and things like that. So, um, honoring our kids no and seeing no as kind of a gift and something that, they feel confident and safe to tell us no, and something that it behooves a person to interact with integrity and respect. Um, so at the end of the day, I think that there could be some level of talking to teachers, possibly getting an IEP in place if you don't already have one. That might be really helpful for you. And I also think that finding a shift in language, and I'll share, like I said, I'll share this other audio about demand avoidance with you that you might find helpful for finding that shift in language, and leaning into who your kid is individualistically, and maybe shedding the idea that people should be listening and more come from a perspective of like, how can we collaborate with each other? How can we help each other meet each other's needs? And in that, like, and particularly at home again, it's like, in that we have to let go of a little bit of our attachment to the outcome, because there is a certain amount of like a majority of saying no that um, we want to interact with 100%, you know okay, wonderful, I appreciate your boundary. And so the interesting thing is that when that happens, the other thing, when we validate, when we respect that no, when we create that space for them to have autonomy, um, the other thing that's happening, the running away, um, it naturally becomes less, because the running away is an aspect of the power struggle of the well, this is how it has to be type of a stuff. And your kiddo's not the type of a kid that's going to really respond well to this is how it has to be. And so the running away is actually kind of a symptom of the not making a new adjustment around no, if that makes sense, hopefully. Um, But I'm going to leave this recording at this. I know I've already been talking for quite a moment, and hopefully you find it all helpful and that it breaks down in a useful way that you can apply. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen and taking the time to post here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.